Hi, today we are having the talk. And I know what you're thinking. It's not the talk about the birds and bees. It's the talk that makes everybody's hair stand on end. It's the talk about finances. When to talk about finances with your partner. So one of the things I'm going to tell you is that you can never talk about finances too soon. But just one caveat. The relationship has to be serious enough to warrant it. Then how do you know that? Well, think about, is this a person that you want to spend long term with? You may not even need to know about marriage, or you may not be living with your partner, but is this somebody that you want to grow old with, that you could see yourself with 5 years, 10 years down the road? Could you see yourself maybe making a big purchase like a home? That's when you want to have the talk. When you're committed to one another, you're saying, hey, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, or we're girlfriend and girlfriend, that means that things are getting a little more serious and it's time for the talk. So what do you say to your partner when you want to have the talk? Well, here's some structure. One of the things that I think you should think about most when you're starting to have the talk, and one of you has to bring it up, you have to start somewhere, is to choose a time and a place where you're not going to be interrupted, and to let your partner know what you want to talk about. Before we start giving you the content for what you're going to talk about, I want you to set the stage. Tell your partner that you want to talk about finances, and choose a time and place when you're not going to be interrupted. So if you're a morning person, then have the talk in the morning. Let your partner know, get that cup of coffee going, and then have a little bit of an agenda. And so here's the agenda. One of the things that I want you to first have on the agenda is savings, second, debt, and third, future aspirations or goals. And so let's start with number one. Before you go into your agenda about savings and debt and future aspirations, let your partner know what money means to you. Does it mean freedom? Like, you know what? Having money in my pocket means I can do anything I want. Number two, does it mean security? Oftentimes people look at that bank account and they're like, wow, when the number gets high, they start to feel really good. Or does it represent fun? Fun meaning that, okay, I earn money so that I can do the things that I want. In other words, I earn money so that I can stop working for 6 months because I'd like to go and surf all the great beaches, or climb mountains, or, spend 6 months in a monastery. That doesn't sound like fun to me, but to some people, that's what it means. It means that I earn a certain amount and then I get to do whatever I want. So it's really important. If you've got one person who believes money is security and the other person means that their idea or their concept of money is about fun, you can see where there's going to be a clash. So it's really important to talk about that. And so how much money do I need to have in order to have enough fun? If I'm a security person, how much money do I need in order to feel secure? Because that's going to affect your spending habits. But today we're just going to talk about the talk and those three things. First on the agenda is savings. And so you want to talk about how much savings you have in the bank. And I know that this is sending alarm bells off for many of you. I mean, this is where all the alarm bells go off, because people start wondering, can they really trust their partner if they know how much money they have in the bank? Or sometimes people feel shame and guilt that they haven't saved enough. And so really being able to talk about this is super important, Because, you know, guys, we choose our partners oftentimes just based on physical attraction, or maybe they've got a nice car. I mean, let's hope that most of us are not that superficial, but we do base our choices oftentimes on the outside. And so learning about your partner's saving habits are super important, because this is going to come into play many years down the road. So this is the time to talk. Now, obviously, if you're younger, you're going to have less in the bank, etc. But it really is important to talk about your savings. That's going to give you an idea of what money means to your partner. Now, remember, there are circumstances that could cause one person not to have as much as another, especially if one of you, let's say, is a doctor and the other is maybe a janitor. There's going to be a bit of a discrepancy there. But just knowing that your partner's putting a certain percentage away is important. And then let's just say that it really, one of you hasn't saved enough, or what you deem as enough. Then you're going to talk about that. That's going to come up in the last part. So let's get to the really hard part. Let's talk about number 2, debt. And debt can look anything like credit cards or student loans. That is so vitally important, because if you're going to be upset about your future doctor wife, but she's got $200,000 in medical school debt, you want to talk about that. Is that something that she pays off herself? Is that a goal that you want to have a certain amount paid off before you two move in together? Are you going to help with that debt? What does it mean? It's really important to talk about it. It also speaks to your net worth. So if, let's say, your doctor wife, or excuse me, your doctor girlfriend has $100,000 in the bank, and let's say, but she's got that $200,000 in medical school debt, well, you know her net worth is negative $100,000. And that's going to make a big difference on the third and last, future aspirations and goals in terms of your money. So don't be put off if your partner has debt, especially if it's debt like student loans or house debt. But you definitely want to get the credit card debt down as well as your student loans as fast as you can. So this is where your future aspirations, where do you want to be? Making sure that the two of you are on the same page, because that is going to have a big impact on how you handle number 2, which is debt. If one of you is saying, I need to save $40,000 a year, and the other one's saying, well, no, we should only save $10,000 a year, that's a real discrepancy that you absolutely need to talk about, because that's going to impact how you save for retirement, how you move through life and make decisions about your money. I did another video, in fact, I have an upcoming video on talking about how to set a budget, how to talk about your finances, how to allocate certain money, and what if one person spends more than the other. So I want you to take a look at that, but I want you to remember these 3 things when you sit down to have that all-important talk. Guys, this should be one of those markers to decide whether you want to move forward in a relationship. It's just as important as physical attraction. It's just as important as whether that person has the kind of career that you have, or whether they're a professional or non-professional. It's just as important if they're a person who wants to live a particular lifestyle. How you spend your money matters. Please, don't wait until you're 5 years into your relationship. Talk about it as soon as you know the relationship is serious. Grab that cup of coffee, sit down and talk, and allow yourself at least an hour to talk about it. I'm Chantel Cohen, and I help couples become one again.